There are people in life who seem determined to invade your peace, to twist your mind and drain your energy, as if it were currency they are owed. They arrive with chaos in their eyes, with words meant to wound, with actions that undermine your very sense of self. You might be tempted to fight back, to prove them wrong, to defend your honor, but the Stoics teach a harder, more profound truth. No one can touch the core of your being unless you allow them to. The battles worth fighting are not external. They are internal. The war is not against the world. It is against the surrender of your own soul. In this reflection, we will explore 8 Stoic strategies to deal with toxic people. These are not simple tricks or superficial advice. They are disciplines of the mind and exercises of the soul. They will teach you to maintain serenity, to command your energy, to interact with clarity and power. By the time we finish, you will understand how to rise above negativity, reclaim your inner authority, and navigate life without being pulled into the chaos of others. If you are ready to master your mind, reclaim your power, and strengthen your spirit, subscribe to Beyond Vision Mindset. Let us walk this path together. Now, let us begin. 1. Master your first reaction. The first and most powerful strategy is mastery over your initial reaction. Toxic people live for the immediate, raw response. They thrive on rage, frustration, guilt, or anxiety because these emotions are the gates to control. But the Stoics remind us that between stimulus and response lies choice, a moment so brief yet infinitely potent, a space where freedom is born. If you learn to inhabit this space, you are no longer prey to the whims of the external world. You are the master of your own mind. I remember a time when a colleague's constant undermining left me frustrated every day. Each insult, no matter how small, felt like a hammer on my mind, forcing me to defend myself verbally, to prove my worth, to explain my intentions. But the more I reacted, the more I became entangled in their chaos. Slowly, I began to practice the sacred pause, a deliberate inhalation, a step back, a mental separation from the immediate shock. In that pause, I realized something extraordinary. The insult only had power if I allowed it. When I held back my immediate reaction, the chaos lost its potency. The energy I once surrendered to anger now remained mine, available for clarity, action, or reasoned speech. Mastering your first reaction is not simply about silence, it is about sovereignty. It teaches you that strength is internal, that no one can dictate the state of your mind unless you grant them the key. Over time, this discipline transforms the way you inhabit the world. You move through interactions with grace and firmness, unshaken by the turbulence others attempt to impose. Each encounter becomes a mirror, reflecting not their malice, but your capacity to remain steadfast. This is the quiet power that the Stoics revered, the power of unshakable equilibrium in a stormy world. Establish boundaries without hatred. Boundaries are acts of reverence for oneself. They are not built from anger or revenge, but from clarity, and the understanding that your mind and spirit are sacred spaces. Toxic individuals test these limits because they seek access to your energy, your focus, your emotional bandwidth. To confront them without boundaries is to offer yourself as prey. To confront them with anger is to descend into their chaos. Instead, boundaries act as gates, thresholds that allow peace to remain within while letting toxicity remain outside. I learned this the hard way. I once believed enduring others' malice was noble, that patience required me to absorb every insult, every manipulation. But over time I realized the hidden toll: stress, fatigue, diminished clarity, and a creeping sense of resentment. When I finally began setting firm boundaries, deciding where I would engage and where I would withdraw, I discovered a transformative truth. Boundaries do not isolate you from the world. They preserve the sanctity of your mind. They are not rejection, they are self-respect. Establishing boundaries also communicates a profound, silent message that your inner life is non-negotiable. Those who respect you will accept these limits. Those who do not are no longer your responsibility. Boundaries create structure, discipline, and resilience. They allow you to conserve energy for growth rather than conflict. And most importantly, they cultivate a mind that is untouchable, a spirit that cannot be corrupted, and a life that prioritizes virtue and clarity over the whims of others. 3. Focus only on what you control. Toxicity has a peculiar ability to make the uncontrollable seem urgent, the irrelevant seem monumental. The Stoics teach that serenity lies not in trying to master what is outside our reach, but in mastering the self. You cannot dictate the words or actions of others, nor can you bend their intentions to your favor, but you can govern your mind, your judgment, your conduct. To expend energy on what is beyond your control is to surrender your power. To focus on what you can control is to reclaim it. I once obsessed over the judgments of others, replaying slights in my mind endlessly, wondering how I could change what was immutable. Each thought was a drain, a slow erosion of my clarity and strength. Then, I adopted a simple discipline. If I cannot control it, I release it. If I can control it, I act with intention and purpose. The result was astonishing. My mind became lighter, my focus sharper, and the toxic energy around me diminished in power. The storm could rage, but I was no longer swept into it. Focusing on what you control is not a retreat. It is an assertion of sovereignty. It transforms every interaction, every challenge, into an opportunity for practice, growth, and reasoned action. The more you cultivate this mindset, the less power others' negativity holds. You build a life governed by your principles, not by the chaos of those who seek to destabilize you. In this discipline lies true freedom, the freedom to remain anchored in reason and virtue, regardless of the tempests around you. 4. Refuse to play the victim. Victimhood is a gift to toxic people. Every time you see yourself as wronged, every time you dwell on the harm done to you, you give them power over your inner world. The Stoics warn that harm exists only in judgment. An insult, a slight, or an injury has no intrinsic power. Its impact is determined by the meaning you assign to it. To claim victimhood is to surrender your agency. To refuse it is to reclaim sovereignty over your mind. I fell into this trap repeatedly. Every slight felt monumental, every argument a justification for resentment. But slowly, I began to understand. Nothing external could diminish me unless I consented. I began reframing experiences as mirrors, reflecting my capacity for patience, wisdom, and resilience rather than the malice of others. The transformation was profound. What once caused anguish now became practice. What once seemed personal became an opportunity for reflection and growth. Refusing victimhood is radical. It liberates you from the chains of external judgment, freeing you to act with reason and strength. When you adopt this mindset, toxicity loses its grip. You are no longer the target of malice. You are the observer of it, the architect of your own emotional and mental state. Strength is reclaimed, clarity restored, and life becomes a journey of conscious choice rather than reactive suffering. Practice emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is not indifference. It is a disciplined separation between your inner peace and the chaos of others. Toxic people seek to provoke, to manipulate, to elicit reaction. When you respond with uncontrolled emotion, you give them exactly what they crave: access to your mind, leverage over your day, authority over your calm. The Stoics teach that serenity is maintained not by avoiding conflict, but by refusing to let external forces dictate your internal state. I once spent weeks agitated by a coworker who thrived on confrontation. Every interaction left me tense, replaying arguments long after the fact, questioning my worth and my judgment. Then I began practicing detachment, not by ignoring the world, but by observing it without surrendering my mind to it. I reminded myself, their actions are theirs, not mine. Their words are sound, not decree. Their malice is reflection, not judgment. The more I trained my mind in this discipline, the more the chaos around me became noise rather than threat. Detachment allows clarity. It transforms toxic encounters into opportunities for observation, not consumption. You learn to respond when necessary, act when meaningful, and let go when irrelevant. In detachment, you reclaim your sovereignty. You are no longer an actor in someone else's drama. You are the calm observer, the one who decides when to engage, when to withdraw, and when to rise above. This is the essence of Stoic strength. Peace that is impervious to the tides of others' negativity.
6. Use silence as power.
Silence is one of the most underutilized weapons in the arsenal against toxicity. Words are currency for the toxic mind. They thrive on argument, manipulation, and debate. To speak without necessity is to hand them leverage, to feed the fire they wish to ignite. Silence, however, is a declaration of sovereignty. It is a barrier that cannot be breached, a statement that your energy is yours, and yours alone. I remember a heated encounter with a family member whose constant criticism seemed unending. Initially, I responded defensively, word for word, defense for defense, but this only escalated tension. Then, I embraced silence. I listened without reaction, spoke only when clarity required it, and observed the effect. Slowly, the power of my words, or rather, the absence of unnecessary words, changed the dynamic. The toxic energy lost momentum, the conversation lost its charge, and I discovered the strength that resides in calm observation rather than impulsive engagement. Silence is a shield and a sword. It communicates strength, control, and self-respect without aggression. In the Stoic tradition, it is a tool for discipline, a method to preserve energy, and a way to maintain inner authority. To remain silent when provoked is to demonstrate mastery, for words may wound, but restraint builds empires within the mind. By speaking only when necessary and withholding reaction when unnecessary, you reclaim your power, your focus, and your peace. 7. Reframe their actions as lessons. Stoicism teaches that life is a teacher, and every experience is a lesson. Toxic people, difficult interactions, and negative experiences are not punishments. They are mirrors reflecting weaknesses, revealing hidden truths, and testing the strength of your character. When you shift your perspective from suffering to learning, you transform adversity into a tool for growth. I once faced a persistent colleague whose manipulations felt personal, intentional, and cruel. For weeks, I simmered in resentment, replaying incidents endlessly. But slowly, I began to reframe. Each interaction was an exercise in patience, in discernment, in humility. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I respond with wisdom rather than instinct? Over time, this reframing not only reduced the emotional weight of the encounters, but strengthened my resilience. I became unshakable, not because the toxicity disappeared, but because I had changed the meaning I assigned to it. Reframing is alchemy for the mind. What once caused irritation now cultivates virtue. Every toxic encounter becomes a test of your patience, discipline, and clarity. In the Stoic way, adversity is a necessary companion of growth. By seeing difficult people as lessons rather than threats, you shift from reaction to mastery, from anger to reflection, and from suffering to strength. It is a practice of turning poison into medicine for the soul. 8. Surround yourself with strength, not weakness. Finally, the Stoics understood that environment shapes the mind. To remain serene and strong, you must cultivate a circle that elevates rather than drains. Toxic people are energy vampires. Prolonged exposure erodes clarity, patience, and willpower. By surrounding yourself with those who embody virtue, wisdom, and integrity, you reinforce your own strength and create a buffer against negativity. I experienced this firsthand when I consciously shifted my focus from trying to fix or tolerate difficult people to seeking those whose presence uplifted and inspired me. The difference was profound. Conversations became enriching rather than exhausting, support replaced conflict, and the energy I had spent resisting toxicity was now channeled into growth and achievement. Strength begets strength, and the right environment reinforces the inner disciplines necessary to maintain peace. Choosing your company is not avoidance. It is self-preservation and strategic cultivation. It teaches discernment, reinforces standards, and accelerates personal evolution. When you invest in relationships that nourish rather than deplete, you create a life in which toxicity has less foothold, where clarity thrives, and where your mind and spirit can operate with precision, purpose, and calm. This is the Stoic path: surrounding yourself with virtue, shielding yourself from needless negativity, and ensuring that your inner world remains untouchable. Toxic people will always exist. The world will always present chaos, malice, and those who seek to disturb your peace. But remember this: no one can touch the core of your spirit unless you hand them the key. True power is not found in confrontation or in controlling others. It is found in mastery over yourself, in discipline, in clarity of mind, and in unwavering calm. Every strategy we've explored today, from mastering your reactions to surrounding yourself with virtue, is not simply advice. It is armor for the soul. It is the practice of remaining untouchable in a world designed to shake you. The Stoics understood this centuries ago, and their wisdom remains your shield today. You have the choice to hand your peace away, or to rise above, to act from reason rather than impulse, to let adversity refine rather than define you. If this reflection resonated, take action beyond watching. Subscribe to Beyond Vision Mindset and join a community committed to clarity, strength, and growth. Show support through coffee, super chat, or stickers. Small gestures that fuel these teachings and keep them alive for those who seek them. Remember, your peace is precious, your strength is deliberate, and your mind is sovereign. Guard it, cultivate it. Walk through the chaos, unshaken, and let your life be a testament to the power of disciplined, unwavering mastery.